You walked past a crow this morning. Maybe it was on a power line. Maybe it was standing in a parking lot, turning its head at an angle that felt deliberate. Maybe you barely noticed it. But here is the thing that should stop you cold. It noticed you. And it will remember your face for the rest of its life. That is not a metaphor. That is not folklore. That is what the science actually shows. For most of human history, you were taught to think of birds as instinct machines. Hollow skulls running on genetic programs. You feed them, they eat. You scare them, they fly. No memory. No judgment. No recognition of the particular, strange face you carry through the world every day. That story was wrong. And the crow on that power line knew it before the scientists did. In 2008, a researcher named John Marzluff at the University of Washington ran one of the most quietly disturbing experiments in animal cognition. He and his team trapped crows on campus while wearing rubber caveman masks. Dangerous masks. The crows associated those specific faces with capture, with stress, with threat. Then the researchers walked the same paths weeks later, unmasked, going about normal life. The crows ignored them. But the moment someone put on the caveman mask, the birds exploded into alarm calls. They dive-bombed the masked researcher. They recruited other crows who had never even been trapped to mob the face. The crows were teaching each other who to fear. Think about what that means. A crow saw a face, encoded it, held it, and then passed the threat to birds who had no direct experience of that person at all. Marzluff repeated this across years. The crows did not forget. The hatred did not fade. 5 years later, on the same campus, crows who had never been near a trap were still scolding the caveman mask on sight. The social memory had outlasted the original event by years, spreading bird to bird like a rumor that never dies. Your brain does something similar. When you meet someone who humiliated you in front of a crowd, your amygdala flags that face before you consciously register seeing it. The threat response fires before the thought arrives. You feel the discomfort before you know why. The crow is doing something structurally parallel. The threat is encoded, stored, shared, and retrieved with a speed and accuracy that most humans would struggle to match after 5 years. And here is where it gets stranger. Crows do not just remember threats. They remember kindness. Researchers who regularly left food for specific crows reported being followed. Escorted almost. The birds would track the person across a yard, land nearby, and watch with what observers described as focused attention. Not the scattered vigilance of a hungry animal. Something more like recognition. Acknowledgement. A team led by Alex Taylor at the University of Auckland studied the way crows respond to familiar versus unfamiliar human faces and found that the birds modulate their behavior based on individual identity. They are not responding to humans as a category. They are responding to you. The specific arrangement of your eyes, your nose, the particular shape of your jaw. They are building a model of you and updating it every time you appear. Now ask yourself when that started. When did crows begin caring so much about individual human faces that their brains evolved dedicated machinery for it? The answer sits somewhere deep in the timeline of human civilization. Crows are not tropical birds. They are not forest specialists. They are edge creatures built for the boundary between wilderness and settlement. And for roughly 10,000 years, that boundary has meant one thing: humans. Crows followed human agriculture. They followed human waste. They followed human conflict because conflict meant bodies, and bodies meant food. The crow and the human have been living inside each other's awareness for as long as humans have been building anything at all. Bernd Heinrich, the naturalist and biologist who spent decades studying corvid intelligence, argued in his research that the cognitive complexity of crows is not incidental, is a direct response to the complexity of human social life. Living near humans required tracking humans. And tracking humans meant learning to read faces, intentions, moods, and power dynamics. The crow did not stumble into facial recognition. It evolved into it because humans were worth paying attention to. Think about what you were worth paying attention to. Your garbage fed them through winter. Your crops drew prey animals that crows hunted at the margins. Your dead, in the centuries before sealed coffins and deep graves, were available to them. The crow has been reading human faces longer than most human institutions have existed. And they remember what they learn. A single crow can live 15 to 20 years in the wild. A captive crow has lived over 30. That is 30 years of accumulated knowledge about specific human individuals, passed laterally to other crows through what researchers now call social transmission of learned information. One crow learns your face. That crow teaches 5 others. Those 5 teach 10 more. A whole local population builds a consensus about you based on a single encounter you may not even remember having. You have a reputation among the crows in your neighborhood. You just do not know what it is. Caroline Drackett and colleagues studying urban crow populations in North America found that individual humans who interacted negatively with crows, even unintentionally, even once, often found themselves the target of sustained mobbing behavior for months afterward. Not random harassment. Targeted. Consistent. Reserved for the specific face that the flock had collectively decided was dangerous. The crow is not doing this because it is mean. It is doing this because it is intelligent. It is protecting a social network with real information. It is maintaining a community threat register built from direct observation and peer testimony. You do the same thing. You warn your friends about the aggressive driver on your street. You tell your coworkers which client is worth avoiding. You pass social information about specific individuals across your network and update that information when new evidence arrives. The crow does it with its whole body, and it does it in front of your house. What this means at the deepest level is that the crow has not been watching humans as a species. It has been watching you, individually. The bird on the power line this morning was not registering a human. It was registering a face it may have cataloged weeks ago on a Tuesday when you walked past without looking up. It already knows whether you are safe. It already knows whether you are a threat. It may have already told others. You thought you were the one with the complex inner life moving through a world of simple, reactive animals. But the crow on the wire is doing the math on you right now, and started long before you noticed it was there. You walked past a crow this morning, and somewhere in the social memory of a bird that will outlive your car, and possibly your mortgage, your face just got filed.